Okay, y'all, I'm going to just kind of give you a brief overview of how the outline function works in Imagine Easy Scholar and kind of what I want from you in your outline that you create. So you have to be in the notebook function of your account, and you'll see all your note cards here. Now I just have like random sample note cards. They're not filled out all the way. They are not completed, but I just have them here to kind of illustrate my point. So don't worry about the contents of the note cards. So the outline is right over here in the right. So if you click outline, it'll expand it. And it's a really cool function that you can use to kind of get all your thoughts together before you write your paper. So this is a requirement, by the way. So it starts off with Roman numeral 1. So you are going to have your introduction on here. Now you're just going to label it introduction. Beneath that, so if you push enter, you see it makes a Roman numeral 2, but we don't need Roman numeral 2 because we're talking about the introduction. So if we click that Roman numeral 2 and drag it over, it makes A under Roman numeral 1, and that is where your hook's going to be. And I want you to write it out. Now, this is not necessarily exactly how it's going to be on your paper. That's the whole point. An outline is like your rough draft. So, but I want you to start thinking, formulate a sentence or two on how you're going to hook your reader. Then you're going to have your bridge. I don't want you to put any note cards or quotes in the introduction. I want you to just use your own words here in the introduction. So, your bridge, you're also going to write this out. You need to be thinking here how you're going to transition from your hook to your thesis, okay? So then you're going to have your thesis. Now, and just, a couple thoughts on the introduction. You have the ability to make this much longer than what we wrote in your expository essays for the STAR test because you only had 26 lines on that. But on this paper, you have 2 to 4 pages typed. So your introduction should not be just like 2 sentences. You have to have a bridge. Oftentimes, it might be 3, more than 3, 4, 5, 6 sentences, just depending, okay? I'm not saying it should go on, but it should be effective in grabbing your reader's attention and transitioning into what you're going to talk about. So then when you have your thesis is going to encompass kind of the direction of your paper, where you are going with your thesis, or where you're going in your writing. So the big thing here is you need to kind of address like facts that you've looked up, conspiracies, all of that, but it has to be in one sentence. So I was thinking about one. Let's say I'm researching the conspiracy of do aliens exist or not, okay? And let's say I've found some evidence saying that they, it's hard to explain. It supports the idea that aliens do exist, but then there's also, counter evidence against that saying, well, that is not necessarily true because of XYZ. So let's say basically there's no definitive proof that aliens do exist is what I'm finding. So I might have a thesis kind of like this. And let me see if this will let me copy and paste this in here. I don't know if it will. Oh, it does. So, while many conspiracies exist over the presence of extraterrestrial life, a significant amount of research contradicts the belief that aliens do, in fact, exist. So that kind of shows where my paper is going to go. That a lot of people believe that aliens exist because of this, this, and this, but research contradicts those findings, and I'm going to talk about that in my paper. Okay, so that's kind of an example thesis right there. I don't want you to just copy my sentence structure here, so don't start your thesis with while and have a comma after that dependent clause. I want you to really think about how you can show the direction of your paper and where you're going to go. Okay, and I can help you with this. This is probably one of the hardest parts of your paper, so please come ask me if you need help on this. Okay, so once you have your thesis, so you're going to write your thesis out just like you do your hook and your bridge. Then it's time to start with your first body paragraph. So I'm going to push enter. And you see it gives me a D here. Well, I'm not continuing on with my intro. I am starting a new body paragraph here. So I can grab this right here and drag it over to the left, and it makes a Roman numeral 2. All right? So that's going to be my first body paragraph. Now, let's say that my first body, if I'm going on with the aliens thing, which I really have no clue because I have not researched about aliens, but let's say I'm going to start off and I'm going to talk about maybe Roswell, New Mexico, because of like Area 51 and all that stuff. So I'm just going to title what that body paragraph is mainly about, and then I'm going to push enter. So you see it gives me Roman numeral 3, so I've got to click it and drag it over. And I'm going to explain in my own words, my first idea. So basically the first big thing I'm going to talk about with Roswell. So you probably, hopefully, you should have a note card that supports that. So what you would do then is, let's say this is not actually a note card about seahorses, it's a note card about Roswell. So that is, I might use that direct quote or paraphrase, probably direct quote though, in my paper when I'm talking about this idea. So in my note card, I'm going to click this note card, or in my notebook function, I'm going to click that note card and I'm going to drag it over. Now, oh, see, it does this sometimes. So I'm going to click that, click it back out. There it is. If it just disappears, collapse it and expand it again, and hopefully it'll come back. So it has put my note card right under A. Now, this note card, this is supporting that idea of A. So I actually want to drag it over to where it's under A. So we've got A and then we've got the number 1 right there. Now, you're never done with that. So you are going to have to, under that, explain it. It's just like in an OER. You're never done, or you should never be done right after you write the quote. In an OER, you have to explain, you have to elaborate. So explain or synthesize, then synthesize the quote in your own words. Okay, that's the hardest part. Just like it's the hardest part of an OER, it's the hardest part of your outline as well. And it is a requirement. You have to do that. You always have to take that quote further, explain it. You're never done after a quote. Okay, so you might have 2, 3, 4 under that note card. Let's say that's all I need though. Okay, so I'm going to push enter. So now I need to go to my second point about Roswell, New Mexico. So I'm going to take that 3, I'm going to drag it over to B. Okay, so here I'm going to do the same thing. Explain in my own words my second idea. Just like with A, I've got to pull a note card over here. So I would do the same thing. Let's say it's this one. Pull it right over here. See how it kind of, I didn't want it to go there, so you can manipulate it a little bit, like, hopefully. There we go. When that little hand comes up, you can click it and you can drag it under B right there. And then pull it over. There you go. And so then I would do the exact same thing. I would push enter and I would have to explain or synthesize quote in my own words. Now, you are going to do this for every body paragraph. I'm not going to tell you how many body paragraphs you have to have. I'm going to let you make that decision. Organize your paper how you need to organize it. Okay, I think y'all can do that. So let's say, you're going to do that for several more body paragraphs. Okay, there we go. And every single one will look just like this Roswell, New Mexico one. So then you're going to have your conclusion. So we'll title this conclusion. And you're going to, so if I push enter there, then I'm going to drag that over. Oh, see, it gets kind of weird towards the bottom. And hopefully they're working on that because we've told them we don't like that. So here with the conclusion in the first sentence, you're going to restate the thesis. And by restate, I'm going to change that to reword because you're not just directly restating it. And then you need to have your clincher. So how are you going to end your paper? Are you going to tie it back to the hook? Are you going to, make a real world connection? How are you going to do that? And you're going to actually write those things out. Write it out. There we go. And write it out. Now, it's not set in stone here, but this is helping you to kind of get your ideas going. So it saves automatically, and so like you can collapse it and expand it, see it's still there. So when you're finished with it, you can click Export Notebook and Outline, and it will actually... Oh, yeah, it's first. It'll print out your outline for you, and it'll make writing your paper so much easier. So I recommend doing that. That's just the basics. So other than that, if you have any questions, please let me know. But I hope this helped you.